back to Urban X TV. We got the Black Dot in the building.
Yes, sir.
So this was like really impromptu. We didn't anticipate doing a part 2 to the Jay-Z NFL deal video we did, but I felt we actually both felt there was some unanswered questions that needed to be addressed.
Mm-hmm.
As far as this, because a lot of people, I thought we broke it down very well, but a lot of people still had, questions regarding this.
And that's great.
Yeah.
The whole process, remember, this is my humble opinion.
Mm-hmm.
All right? And in doing that, I would never debate or argue anybody about my opinion, because then we both look crazy. So when people add their opinions and interject, I think it's great for the conversation.
What I would say is the people that I did respond to, you responded to, it was just mostly just simple questions, right? So a lot of people were saying, well, no. Again, like I anticipated in the first video, people were talking about the awareness, and I would just ask a simple question: what changed since?
Right.
And they never had a response from me. And
Right.
I'm not saying for the people out there, because like they always felt like they had to preface their comments with, I am a fan of the show. We're not against opinion. We're not against debate either.
I've never been against opinion,
Yeah.
even if it's totally contrary to my own opinion.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? This is what critical thinking is about.
Mm-hmm.
It is about us challenging each other or sharing so that we become or come to a greater understanding of things.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I truly think that that's important. So I don't answer all of the comments because I don't have time. But if you say something that I think needs to be addressed, and I can address it. And if you go to the comments, 9 times out of 10, I'll tell you thank you for your input. Whether we were in agreement or not, or thank you for your support,
right,
or even just thank you for watching.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I felt after we finished, there were things that because I hate doing long 2-hour
right.
pieces now. So I said, let me just hit people with the general stuff so we can get that out of the way.
Right.
And now I want to get into some different perspectives on this situation. There are those who say, who gives a shit? And that's cool too. Mm-hmm. I can't take that stance because I'm Black Dot. And what we've been doing is we disseminate information, we cover, we post things, we share, we decode, and I get 30, 40, 50 DMs saying, are you gonna talk about this?
Right.
So for those who say, well, it's none of our business, technically you're right, but at the end of the day, when you're in the business of sharing information, sharing your thoughts, it becomes your business.
Right.
You know what I mean? Remember, that's what happened with the Nipsey Hussle piece.
Yeah.
I at one point refused to address it. Me and you had said, you know what? We're gonna stay far away. But every time I went to the DM, yo, Dot, I just need to hear what you have to say about it. You know what I mean? So we have to take into consideration that sometimes these conversations we have help people.
Right.
You know what I mean? And for those who are above that, that's fine too. So,
what was one of the, statements that you... So, real quick. So, right after we ended the last piece, it was out that Jermaine Dupri had the opportunity to sign the same deal Jay-Z signed, that he just signed last year, and Jay-Z personally called him and told him not to do it.
Right.
So I thought that was like super, super sneakish.
And it ties back into do as I say, not as I do. And that's hypocritical. Mm-hmm. And I tell parents that all the time. We used to have this thing where, your parents can tell you this, but they were doing the same things. That don't fly anymore. So you can't say do as I say, not as I do. And at minimum, it not be hypocritical.
Right.
So however you feel about Jay-Z and his stance, at minimum, if you say do not do something and you turn around and do the same thing you told me not to do, what changed? Police brutality didn't change, right? And you can't say, well, so many more young teens were being gunned down. I was forced to take a stand with the NFL. The only thing that could have changed is the bag. You know what I mean? And the opportunity, they made the deal sweet where you could kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
We also discussed this after. Jay-Z would have had a way better PR move if he would have came out with the deal and said, because not a big thing is that he has ownership or he's trying to get ownership. If he would have came out with that and said in the same breath, I plan on give Colin Kaepernick a
he would have killed 3 birds with 1 stone if he would have just came straight out and said, press conference,
yeah,
I now own a portion of the team, and the first thing I'm going to do is reach out to Colin Kaepernick and give him an opportunity to see if he's still in shape and he wants to come out. We would have said, all hail Jay-Z, all praise. He's owner, and he took the initiative to bam, bam, bam. We would have called, but that's not what he did. He gave a press conference because he had to kill, in my humble opinion, a couple of birds with 1 stone in the other direction.
Right.
He had to secure the bag for Live Nation under the guise that Rock Nation, because let's face it, Rock Nation is not going to just have a bunch of artists doing halftime and ain't no white people being appeased.
Right.
So he works for Live Nation. So Live Nation probably said, go in there and secure that bag so we can secure our place. And as his reward for doing so, we're going to hit you with a NFL team or a greater portion than 1/15 of 1%. Right? So we'll talk about that as well. So, but I wanted to start this conversation out with, it is in my humble opinion and has always been that Colin Kaepernick never took a stand or kneel to bring awareness to unarmed teens being gunned down by the police department. As a result of what he did, that became the issue. Now, what do you mean, Black Dot?
Facts.
Well, I need you to walk with me. Here's the deal. I think he threw what is equivalent to a temper tantrum. Like if you take away a kid's toy and the kid is mad and goes sit in the corner, right? And while he's in the corner, you know what I'm saying, he concocts an idea to bring attention to his situation. Now, how can I say that? And I say this because when you want to know about the unknown, we study the known. And the known is, when he had the starting position, there was no word about awareness of anything. Now, you might say, well, that might just be coincidence. Well, let's examine it. As the starting quarterback for any team in America, in terms of NFL, you are the face of the franchise.
Right.
So that means any organization that you have is going to be spearheaded. It's going to get all the attention you need. So he could have been like, look, this is Colin Kaepernick of the 49ers, and I am out here going against diabetes. Log on to my website, boom, boom, boom. He could have threw a pass. A little kid could have caught it with diabetes, ran in the end zone. It is a touchdown for everybody, right? They would have poured as much money into it. He could have showed up twice a year, took some pictures, because that's the way that is done.
Right.
As the starting quarterback, you have the platform to do anything you want. As the backup quarterback, in the history of backup quarterbacks, I have never heard of anybody outshining the starting quarterback. You know what you do as the backup quarterback? You put a baseball hat on, you got your headphones on.
Replays.
You upstairs in the booth, in connection with the people in the booth. When the quarterback comes over, let's say he threw an interception, you go, yeah, well, he was in nickel defense and safety slid down, and you discuss that, and that is your job. That is it, right?
Right.
Never, right, do you do anything other than that. Now, if the starter gets hurt, cameras flash over to you, you now have a helmet on, you warming up because you coming in the game. That is in the history. Again, when you want to know about the unknown, we study the known.
Right.
Something as profound, and I want to be clear with this. something as profound as you now want to take a stand against the flag or whatever the case may be, to bring awareness to unarmed teams being gunned down, is not something that happens spontaneous. You don't just act on that. That has to be something that was well thought out. You know what I mean?
Okay.
In my humble opinion.
So, but wouldn't that contradict what you said that he's just throwing a temper tantrum?
No, I'm gonna bring all this around full circle.
Okay.
Right? So, most of the time with something of that, because that's a life-changing move. Right? That is something, I've been thinking about this, and I find it ironic you wasn't thinking about it when you were the starter.
Got it.
Right? So it wasn't until, let's remove all of the patriotism and flag stuff. When you lose your starting job, and if you over in the corner sitting down while everybody else is over here, what is that? What does that look like? A temper tantrum.
Yeah.
You did that in Pop Warner at 11 years old one time.
I don't remember.
I know you don't.
I don't remember.
The team was winning.
I don't remember. Let's keep going.
Right? And there you were away from the team because you felt you should have got more playing time, and I got in your ass about it. But you were 11 years old. You know what I mean? I was trying to show you, So if we remove all the other shit, and he's just sitting on the sideline, and this is what I think happened. As the national anthem was playing, he had already lost his starting position. He wanted to bring attention to himself.
So he just sat.
So he sat while the team was doing what they was doing. He probably heard the national anthem and was like, you know what? I'm going to make this shit into something that is bigger than himself and bigger than the team. Never in the history of backup quarterbacks has any backup ever brought more attention to himself, right? So I think he sat. A spoiled white kid, white mother who didn't want his ass, what I'm saying? Let's start peeling back the layers of this, what I'm saying? Until a veteran told him, well, if you're really trying to take a stand on something, you have to take a knee. And that's when he took a knee, right? And I think personally, this is just my humble opinion, that once that train left the station,
it was already too late.
It was too late. It's bigger than football now. It's almost like you having an affair and you out so late that you concoct a story, right? And now the police show up, detectives, they got the street cut off and shit, and now you can't pull that back.
Yeah.
In my humble opinion, I think that's what happened. Because something as profound as you're taking a stand against something that's life-changing is not something, it's usually something well thought out. And if it was well thought out, why wasn't it taking place when you was the starter? How come conveniently when you were no longer the starter and had all of this extra time on your hand, probably pissed because you lost your starting position, that you wanted to now bring awareness to something as profound as teens being gunned down?
Okay.
And I think once that train left the station, it became bigger than him, and now he has no choice but to ride with that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's a very profitable thing to ride with.
Oh, it's very profitable. I'm gonna get into that as well, because to me, nothing else makes sense. When you want to know about the unknown, ladies and gentlemen, because had he did this as a starter, right?
Right.
When it would have been easier. You are the starting quarterback.
Right.
Anything that you put your name behind as the starting quarterback of a franchise, they'll usually get behind it. And it would have been less vital, meaning they could have put a spin on that,
right,
where you still could have been the starting quarterback. White America would have still been happy with it.
Honestly, what he could have did, right? This is just me, like, just freestyling. But if this was, like you said, well thought out, it could have turned into something where the kneeling wasn't the center of attention and the actual problem was.
You hit it right on the nail.
Right.
Had he done it correctly as the starting quarterback, this was well thought out. You get your agent involved. You get everybody involved. Let's soften the blow and really focus the attention on unarmed teens being gunned down. And it would have never been about kneeling. You see what I'm saying? And so that's how that tells me, to me, this wasn't about that. He lost his starting job and the national anthem was playing and he was pissed off. And as a result of his pissed off, he took a stand that brought more attention to himself other than the team. And that is the most selfish shit you can do. However, he's now being portrayed as the most unselfish, selfless, because what he gave for the team, I ain't buying it. I never bought it. You know what I mean? I never bought it because these people are smarter than that. You know what I mean? Whatever cause you fight for, you don't just, nobody know you doing it. Oh no, just go with it. You know what I mean? Who does that? And that's the effect. You know what I mean? And then when they put the cameras on him and said, well, why are you doing this? He couldn't say, I'm doing this because I lost my starting job to some bum who I'm probably better than.
He lost his starting job the same way he got his starting job, but that's another conversation.
But that's a whole other conversation. Yeah. You can't say that. Yeah. So what do you say? And first of all, has he really experienced any of this? You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Maybe he has. You know what I mean? As, somebody with a white mother who, disowned him because he was, had a black father. To me, he had issues to begin with. You know what I mean? And maybe he used that to, you follow? Right. But to me, it was too spontaneous without nobody else knowing but yourself what it is that you was doing and why you was doing it. And now the national anthem is the issue. Just my humble opinion. But once that train left the track, it was like, yo, I got to run with this. Like right now, people keep saying he needs to go play again. Well, what if he play and he ain't shit?
And he won't be. He's not that good.
He wasn't that good to begin with. But let's I digress. He was a running quarterback who ran the option pretty well.
And he's been and this is just logistics. He's been 3 years out of the league.
That's my point.
Fasty defenses that all run the same
That's my point.
So he wouldn't be good anymore.
What does that do for his cause?
Right.
If he comes back and he ain't shit, or let's say one of them house nigga linebackers, Ray Lewis style, who want to show Massa up in the skybox, I'm not with that Massa. Right. He should have never did that. And run his ass down and tackle his ass on every play. What does that do? So he's not trying to come back. This is a whole facade because it keeps you, because it's bigger than football, it keeps you engaged in something. Why the hell was he in Africa reenacting the Muhammad Ali scene? I have no idea.
Because, well, a lot of people in the comments on Instagram and on YouTube have been trying to liken Colin Kaepernick to Muhammad Ali.
Well, let me ask you, what does young teens being gunned down by the police department have to do with teens in Africa? And if you're going to say it's low-hanging fruit, well, we being gunned down all across the world, well, okay, but that's not what his stance was.
Right.
He never got in front of the podium and said, this is for all black kids. Right?
Right. That actually contradicts your argument about the actual national anthem for the people who are
Thank you, because now what the fuck that got to do with the American flag?
Right.
Right? Mm-hmm. So let's start peeling this shit back piece by piece and seeing and calling it for what it was and what it is.
I actually want to bury the word awareness. I'm so
okay.
It's lazy.
Let's deal with that as well. I'm gonna jump all over the place on this one. As you see, I'm trying to be a little bit more subdued on this one because I really want people to really just grasp this, right? We could stop, and I want to make this statement, and I want everyone to really focus in on it. We could end police brutality in a day. One day in this country. The Black Panthers already showed you the blueprint on how to do it. And because we on YouTube, I won't elaborate no further than that, right? Mm-hmm. Malcolm X said the Nation of Islam was the most dangerous group or most powerful group. He was lying. It was the Black Panthers because they had no religious restrictions, none of that. They were very simple. You come in my neighborhood with some bullshit, we're going to pop your top. They were the most dangerous group. They had to go. You know what I mean? And we don't want to stop police brutality. They want you in the business of stopping police brutality. I'm going to say that again. They want you in the business of awareness of police brutality. Why? Because that's where the money is. Right. The money is in awareness because you can start programs, you can start initiatives, which is what Jay-Z signed on for. He signed on for an initiative along with the halftime shit, the initiative to give players platforms to do what? Speak out against the very shit. It's no more speaking out.
Right.
You follow what I'm saying? Let's be clear on that. So awareness just means money. It means, listen, you don't think they got a cure for cancer? But is the money in the cure for cancer? Or is the money in the treatment, the sessions, the programs, the not-for-profit? The money is there. So, after the Black Panthers were done with, we got pulpit action, activists in the pulpit talking about what we should do, but nobody was no longer doing anything.
Because talking feels great, especially great orators. You ever think about how many people were massacred as a result of a great speech?
Absolutely.
Think about that.
So when you hit the pulpit and now we can talk about it. And then if you're talking about it and you're already about to be about it, there are always agents within the organization, come on, COINTEL 101, right, to get that moved in the other direction. And if by some means, this is a serious organization, I plus C equal T, you know what I'm saying, intention, capability, threat, Steve Coakley. If that equation comes out, they bring you in a room and they cut you a check. That's what awareness is about now. So when you hear that word, because for 400 years, nothing has changed for black people in this country. We've been beaten, raped, murdered, tortured for 400 years. So what more do we need? And I'm going to jump around, but Jay-Z said exactly everything I said.
In the conference.
In the conference, right?
Yeah.
He said, and I quote, Colin Kaepernick, this wasn't about a job. Why y'all keep talking about Colin Kaepernick and a job? He was bringing awareness. Ding, ding, ding. That's what I said.
Right.
I said, why y'all keep focusing and looking at it as a victory that he got his job back when it wasn't about a job? He was trying to bring awareness to something.
Right.
Right? Then Jay-Z said, and quizzed the people in the room, do you know what, are you aware of what was going on? Are you aware of what was going on? So he was taking a poll and awareness, and then he said, let's move past that into actionable items. Now, I didn't say that because I had never heard that word before. I don't even know what the fuck that means, actionable items, but I know what he meant. He meant enough of bringing awareness. We are aware. Let's put some action in now. Now, I disagree with him thinking dancing and singing is the actual action. However, I said the same exact thing. What's up with all this awareness? We don't need to be aware. We need to be moving. And the last thing he said was, we're done with kneeling. That's what I said. I said we shouldn't be kneeling in the first place. Am I correct?
Right.
Because kneeling in the face of our oppressors has never, how's that a power move? Right? The difference between me and Jay-Z is he's Jay-Z, and it wasn't what he said, it was how he said it. That was a little perturbed the people around him. Right. He gave off like, who are y'all to question me kind of, when I got 40,000 subscribers and I can sit here and say what the hell I want.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But when all the smoke cleared, we were saying the same things.
Right.
You agree? So, and then I just thought it was real weird how Roger Goodell was laughing giggling at his ass the whole time. Go back and watch the tape.
Yeah.
You could tell Jay-Z was uncomfortable. Roger Goodell thought it was a joke. He's got the drug dealing Carmen, whatever her name is, over his left shoulder. He had Tata was right. It was a weird little thing going on in there. Right. But at the end of the day, awareness, what does it really mean? He took a knee and he made us aware. If that's what it took to make you, or he made America aware, please stop. Please stop. You know what I mean? And like I said, at the end of the day, we can stop police brutality in one. Do you know what white people are afraid of? More than anything else, black people who ain't afraid. That's what they are afraid of. Look how many officers it took to subdue that dude in Philly last week. Right. 40 officers with their hands on their shoulder, looking around the corner. It's one dude. You see what I'm saying? Right. That's what they're afraid of. So they need to remove that fear by telling you, let's start programs and initiatives to talk about.
Yeah, to think about.
Talking about what we're doing to you, because that's awareness. Yeah. It's the biggest hustle going, because nobody's getting off the couch anymore. Sort of like the black exploitation movies in the 70s. Right. Were used for the same purpose. Now you was killing the cracker on the screen. Yo, we're gonna kill them pigs and Shaft and all these movies. But now you never really got off the couch to do anything. Mm. The movies created an outlet for your frustration. So the new activists at that time did the same thing. They got off the couch, they got on the soapbox, and they began to make you feel good about your situation. And then everybody went home. And nowadays, the program may be a little bit more accelerated, but what they do is if they really get nervous, they don't kill you no more. They cut you a check. Show me where I'm wrong. Everybody getting checks cut. Yeah. Right?
I think, and it almost seems as if Colin Kaepernick and Eric Reed, for that matter, are mad that Jay-Z kind of cut in on their own hustle.
That's exactly what it is. They had, and here's another thing, and I want y'all to think about this for those who want Colin Kaepernick to get his job back. If you sue a company because they did you wrong and they pay you, and then you show up the next week to fill out a fucking application with the same company that did you wrong and paid you, you look fucking crazy. You look fucking crazy. Think about it. Yeah. Imagine you at your job, perspective, right? And there was racism going on and all of this shit going on, and you sued them and you won. And you came out of the court with your hands held high. I proved that they was doing this. And then 2 weeks later, you back at the office filling out an application to come back and work for the same people. Wouldn't you say they was fucking crazy? Yeah. But he's doing that. And he's campaigning for that because he's staying in shape, waiting for the call. And you guys are behind him. Some of you are even boycotting. Wait a minute, he got paid already, and you're boycotting for him to get his job back. That's making you look crazy. Now, if you're telling me, again, if you want to know about the unknown, you study the known. How many people was boycotting the fact that there were no black owners? How many people was boycotting the fact that there were no blacks in management? How many people was boycotting the fact that they didn't have guaranteed contracts? How many people was boycotting the CTE issue? I'm just talking about general black people. I didn't see no boycotts going on until Colin Kaepernick was done dirty. Now everyone is boycotting for a nigga to get his job back. That makes you look crazy. A nigga who already got his money, to add insult to injury. Yeah. He already got paid.
A couple different sources at that.
Oh, he got his bag.
Yeah. Yo, people are talking about boycotting for Colin Kaepernick to get his job back wearing a for-profit jersey that says "I'm with Cap."
Are you kidding me?
From Nike.
Are you kidding me? So, to show you, this is bigger than football. Yeah. This is about mind control on a whole nother level. And we continue to fall and be misguided and misled in so many directions. I'm going to restate my position. This snowballed into a cause bigger. Now, he's nothing he can do about it.
Yeah.
He's stuck in this. This is his legacy now.
Yeah.
Right? And to me, it all boiled down to him losing his starting job and throwing a tantrum. What is equivalent to a fucking tantrum? And as he threw the tantrum and the national anthem was playing and he took a knee and now I want to bring attention. But when you were the starter, when you have most of your power, see, you have most of your power as a starter.
Right.
We agree?
Yes.
The damn backup quarterback is usually anonymous.
Right.
Unless he's a famous backup or the team might know who he is. Or, yo, we need to get that backup guy in there. But he sits there with a fucking hat on and headphones, waiting for his opportunity to get in the game. That's it. He don't start no initiatives. That don't even make sense. When you really look at and remove all of the veils of this and that, and let's stop it, right? So I wanted to make those points to the people so you can chew that up, spit out the fat, and just look at the possibility that it never was about unarmed teams, because at the end of the day, unarmed teams are still being gunned down every day.
Right.
And don't tell me, well, you don't know what he's doing behind closed doors. No, but I do know he's putting out videos basically campaigning to get back in the NFL, an organization that supposedly did him greasy, paid him for doing him greasy, and now he wants to come back after 3 years and throw touchdowns. I'm not buying it. I ain't never bought it, but I'm definitely not buying it now, because his legacy is attached to his ability. Now, if he comes back and he's 45 touchdowns, that enhances.
Yeah.
See? You know what I mean? So it works both ways. See, them 3 years he missed, because Muhammad Ali missed how many years in his prime? Three, boxing, and then Muhammad Ali came back and he was the greatest. They could pull that shit off if they want to. I ain't buying it. Icons. Celebrities covering one eye who are sworn to secrecy to mislead the masses into a life of negativity by way of destructive behaviors, i.e. drugs, sex, violence, etc. Most of these celebrities you see in the music industry and in Hollywood have taken a sworn oath to protect what they have going and to have you being misled by using drugs, violence, and all of these other crazy behaviors. Be careful. Beware of those who are pointing at one eye, covering one eye, or trying their best to shut down your first eye. Log on to urbanx.nyc for the latest in apparel, or shop urbanx.com to pick up the latest in our not so subtle teas, and we thank you for your support. Peace. I ain't buying it. Muhammad Ali was standing for something far greater. You know what I mean? In my humble opinion.
There was no sponsorships.
There was no sponsorships and none of that. Shit, other boxers had to give him money.
Right.
You know what I mean? He ain't have a secret. How much money did he get from the NFL? Does anybody even know?
No, because he can't talk about it.
Can't talk about it.
Because he signed an NDA, which makes it even more sleazy in my opinion, because you have people on the front line for you campaigning and you can't even talk about the issue that they're
out there fighting for you for. And you can't go out there now.
You just got to say thanks.
Because you took the bag.
Yeah.
Now, if he'd have been like, I refuse that money, this is bigger. Because, again, I'm going to bring it all the way back around. We keep acting like he was taking a knee because he was treated unjustly through unfair work conditions.
Yeah.
He was not. He used the platform for his own agenda and then had the audacity to say, you need to pay me for that.
Yeah.
Let's be clear. That's what it all boils down to, right? So had he been campaigning, I'm going to say it again, for all of those things I just mentioned, there's no black ownership, CTE issues. We need guaranteed contracts. If he had been campaigning for all of that and lost his job, I'm capping for Kaepernick, because y'all did him greasy. That's not why he was campaigning. He created his own movement, and now he's bigger than. And you know, again, it reminds me of Nipsey Hussle a little bit. You know what I mean? They kind of look alike. You know what I mean? In terms of their facial features, meaning, we're moderizing. I don't even know if that's a word. Individuals in real time now.
Yeah.
It used to take a while before somebody was martyred.
Right.
They had to go through so many trials and tribulations, and we say, this person deserves. Now, in real time, you could be martyred. You know what I mean? So just keeping your eye on that issue. This Jay-Z stuff is getting interesting.
Yeah.
Okay? So I want to bring a couple of issues up because based on the people in the chat, I have no problem with Jay-Z getting his money. I told you that. Look how many videos I've done. I just did a video on how to be a billionaire and what he had to do to put himself in position. And then I asked you, do you want to be a billionaire? Like, here's the blueprint based on the information and how he was cutting people off, doing this and that, associating with certain people. To reach that level requires a certain level of selfishness.
Yes.
It requires some cutthroat.
Yes.
It requires some.
We just watched it with Colin Kaepernick in real time.
In real time.
In real time.
In real time. It requires that. And a lot of times we see the end result of the billionaire, but we don't see what they had to do behind closed doors to get that deal done. But who made more money off rapping about drugs in the rap industry than Jay-Z? He glorified selling drugs, and he capitalized. Who made more money off that Illuminati talk? Let's be real. Yeah. There was a 4 or 5 year period when everybody in the industry was talking about hip-hop and the Illuminati. Who benefited the most? Jay-Z did. Yeah. We was calling him a Illuminati hove. And I said he was trolling. I said that, the Aleister Crowley t-shirts and the horns and the Baphomet. I said he figured it out, you know what I mean? That this was keeping him alive. Because I think for an album and a half, maybe 2 albums, that shit kept him afloat. Because we kept that was when the internet was really buzzing on this Illuminati shit, and his name kept coming up. Him and Professor Griff. Because Professor Griff was the one out in front along with myself. But Jay-Z, to me, that kept him afloat. Who became a conscious rapper and is now the most powerful hip-hop activist in the game? It's Jay-Z. He hit you with the 444. Dope album.
Yeah, I enjoyed that album. Yeah.
Dope album. And then he started doing little activist things. Now he's the biggest rap activist. So he done went from a drug dealer to a Satanist to an activist. And all the time he's really just a capitalist. Okay? Satanist, drug dealer, Satanist, activist, capitalist. And you can even throw in his infidelity became a hit. His transgressions with his wife, they flipped that shit into hit records. Who does that? But somebody who understands capitalists and how to move. And I'm not mad at any of that. You see what I'm saying? But don't piss down my back and tell me it's raining. Don't give this press conference to tell me you doing this to move the culture forward, and you just shitting on Kaepernick.
Yo, people defend Jay-Z like he could own a private. Somebody said he could own a private prison, and people would defend it. Well, at least Hov is running it.
Exactly. And we have to get past that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He is not above reproach. That's why I always state I'm a fan and not a stan. You know what I mean?
Right.
So when you look at it, if he would have just came out like we said in a press conference, yo, you know what? It was always been my dream to own a team. I got that now. Or ownership, significant. And now I'm going to reach out. Even if he reached out just on some bullshit to Colin Kaepernick, it would have shut everybody up. He would have been on the phone Photo op, yo, Cap, man, yeah, man, hey, still in shape, man, come on down. We'd have all been happy.
Right.
You know what I mean? But that's not what he did. You know what I mean? Yeah. He took us all the way around the block, and he did it in real time, to the point where even people who are not that in tune can go, wait a minute, 1 and 1 is 2. You just gave a press conference in Roger Goodell's office, right. And the very next day, on Nipsey Hussle's birthday, whatever, announce you're going to own a team. Now, quiet as kept, if that team is the Los Angeles Rams or the Chargers, this Nipsey Hussle shit takes a whole different spin.
Yeah.
All right, for my conspiracy theorist, right? Because we already know Jay-Z is intertwined in this shit. You know what I'm saying? More than people probably want to, right. Thanks to Choke No Joke, who keeps his foot on the gas with this shit, right? So, that's his management. That was Nipsey's management. Right. And the day that they was going to meet with the LAPD, don't ask me why. That very next day when Nipsey Hussle was going to meet with the LAPD, Jay-Z and them was going to be there. Or Rock Nation was going to be there, and they got these fucking hats out with the fucking symbols. And as Choke No Joke said, the police department is here, and Rock Nation, their office is a bridge that connects the two now. Interesting. We thought that hub in which Nipsey Hussle was acquiring was about the Clippers, and it may be about the Rams or the Chargers. You know what I'm saying? And see, people say, well, those are loose ends. Well, you got to understand the way these white folks move. They be moving 8 and 10 years in advance because the Olympics is coming in 2028, from what I understand. To LA. So these things, they lay it out in advance. You know what I mean? On how to get their money. And that's why they're never worried about the future, because they control the present. And when I speak to people about that, you're the only one worried about the future because you live in day to day. They have this shit laid out, right? So let's keep our ear out to, and I thought the shit he did to Jermaine Dupri, if that's true, was greasy.
Yeah.
How you gonna tell Jermaine Dupri not to take this deal, and you turn around and take, and the guy, I forget his name, Michael Cox, whatever his name is, he said it was the same deal. Yeah. He said we were all in the room together. All right, so we know that there's some cutthroat shit going on. Right. The NFL might be using Jay-Z as a buffer. You gotta bury Kaepernick. We can't do it because of who you are as Jay-Z. You have to do it.
And I think that's more of them, you know, like the NFL and, you know, organizations like that really insulting our intelligence.
Absolutely.
They on some, like, we got Jay-Z now, shut up.
Shut up. This has been the formula. It's been the formula.
Right.
You know what I mean? Bring in somebody who they respect. First of all, how do you own 1/15 or 1/5% of 1%? Yeah. And your face is on billboard posters in downtown Brooklyn. I saw the poster of him and the actual owner standing behind him and shit. How? And that not be a part of some kind of agenda.
Right.
I couldn't own 1/15 of anything and have my face on it. But they had to bring Jay-Z in to soften the blow because we getting ready to take this community over. And he allowed himself to be used. He's a capitalist. He allowed himself to be used for that. Done.
Right.
Right? So now they're going to give him a bigger piece of the pie. And on the surface, we should be proud of a black man finally getting in the NFL. And sure, if that's your thing, be proud. I don't live vicariously through individuals. So unless his $1 billion, which is equivalent to $5 in the grand scheme of money, right? When you deal with elite people and stuff like that, it's going to trickle down to where we can benefit from it. Then what's the point? Right? Same thing with Colin Kaepernick and his illusionary stance to stop police brutality. Let's stop it. All right, so I wanted to spend some time just kind of going over these things, slow the pace down a little bit, and give you just a little bit more to think about in regards to this. You have any questions regarding that?
No.
All right, so again, subscribe. You know what I'm saying? Hit the like button. We appreciate all the support.
Facts. We like your comments too.
And we love the comments. Keep the comments coming.
Keep coming.
And you know what I'm saying? And if you're boycotting, just make sure you're boycotting. Don't be hypocritical.
Yeah.
Right? You're not boycotting for none of that other stuff I mentioned, but you're boycotting because this dude didn't get his job and he already got paid. He's already a multimillionaire. Yeah. He already took the bag. Every time you cap for him, you playing. You being Kaep-fished. It's a new term. You being Kaep-fished. Just think about it. Yeah. He got the bag already. And he just got to act like he can step out every now and then. Oh, I might. No, I'm going to step back. I might come out. Come on. He got the money already.
He trademarked his image. Right?
He trademarked his image. He got the money.
Yeah.
And you guys are out here running for him, and he's sitting up somewhere paid with his pretty wife, and this and that. And it's a done deal, right? And again, if kneeling is where we are 400 years after this whole process started, shame on us, right? And another thing, according to Claude Anderson, we own the same amount of wealth now as we did in 1865. Wow. How's that even possible? It's because they keep pushing people in front of you as signs of success, but the masses of the people's economic situation has not changed. Think about that for a minute. So they keep showing you, oh, this guy's a success. Look, he's a success. And we, because we live vicariously through these individuals, we feel we're making it, but the masses of the people's economic status has, shit, we might have had more back then with 40 acres and a mule and Black Wall Street and this and that. So don't be fooled by what you see going on. It's all a bait and switch, and keep your eye on ADOS. Because if the formula is correct, is what I'm talking about, they're not giving out reparations. They're going to pull a few people into the room. They're going to identify who the leaders are, and they're going to start organizations that make you aware of reparations. And then they'll start these coalitions where now we're aware that we should be getting reparations. I'm telling you, I don't know nothing about who the leaders of ADOS are, and I'm not throwing shade. I'm rooting for them. But if their energy changes, for those who are following that, if they come out of the room and like, calm down, it's all good now, and they in some plushy offices, and now they handing out pamphlets to teach you about the awareness of this shit, the bag has been secured. Because that is the modem of operandum. You know, that's the way that shit goes now. Corporations step in, they assess the threat or the potentiality, I don't even know if that's a word, of the threat, and they go, all right, we either gonna knock dude off or we're gonna cut a bag, we're gonna cut a check. So with that being said, this is the Black Dot, this is my chronicles, this is my story, and I'm sticking to it. Peace.
Peace.